Welcome to Sociology. We're doing the chapter on social class and social stratification in Canada. So let's get started. Now, Canada is known as a country with one of the best standards of living in the world. And in terms of advanced economy, universal health care, public funded education, this is all true. However, Canada is also a land of social inequality with a range from very poor to extremely well-off citizens. Now, like culture and social structure, social inequity affects our overall quality of life and its important role in shaping who we are and who we become. Now, being born into a very rich family, your experience and what you learn about where you live and what it's possible for you to be is a very different challenge. You can decide to be whatever you want to be, and you would face it if you were born. But would you face that if you were born in a lower income family? Would you likely face food security challenges and the question of accessing winter suitable clothing and the probability, and probably cannot participate in local community sports, all of which would no doubt give a different view of what's possible for you in your future. Just that disparity between the very rich and the very poor. They don't view how Canada is in the very same way. The opportunities that they have are very different. The social inequity refers to the unequal distribution of resources, including wealth, prestige, or power that can affect our personal outcomes in such things as education, occupation, and health. In part one, we're going to explore the introduction to the topic of stratification, inequity in Canada, and a classical perspective on social class. So let's begin with social stratification. Now, this is the hierarchical arrangement of large social groups based on their control over basic resources. Now, sociology distinguishes between open and closed systems. Open systems have flexible boundaries and hierarchies that can be affected by one's own achievement status. So your ability to move up in status or down in status is an open system. A closed system, the boundaries are rigid and one's positions are set by an ascribed status. So once you're here, you're always here. One extreme term is known as slavery, and it's an extreme form of stratification in which some people are owned by others. This is more likely in a closed system where people designated as slaves are treated as property and have little or no control over their own lives. A sociological term, if you will, of what enables us to move through our social stratification is what's known as life chances. Now, this refers to the extent to which individuals have access to important societal resources such as food, clothing, shelter, education, and healthcare. The more affluent have better life chances. They have more of those things. They don't wonder where their food's coming from or what kind of shelter they have. Life chances are not only a Canadian issue, they are an international issue. In every country, life chances can positively affect individual, family, and community outcomes. Now, just for your information, in Sociology 2, which is in the winter semester, we look more at this sort of international view. Now, systems of stratification, let's look at what we have here. Social mobility. It's the movement of individuals or groups from one level in a stratification system to another level, more likely in an open system. Now, there's several forms of social mobility. One form is what's called intergenerational mobility. And this is the social movement experienced by family members from one generation to next. So if my parents were here, and as a result of intergenerational mobility, both in terms of what they achieved and what I did on my own, I moved to this, that's intergenerational. From one generation to the next. Then there is intra-generational mobility, and this is the social movement of individuals within their own lifetime. And somebody who was born into us at this level in their own lifetime, they move up. That's intra-generational. And then when we think in terms of social stratification, and we're going to continue with systems, we can look at caste systems. Now, caste systems, there are countries where the caste system is a system of social inequality in which people's status is prematurely determined at birth based on their parents' ascribed status. So if you're born to a family that is at this level, whatever this level is, and you're born into that family here, that is what you will have, and that's where you will stay. A closed system of social stratification exists, for example, in India, based on occupation, and in South Africa, based on a racial classification. Now, in other parts of the world, the other system is known as a class system. And this is a system or a type of stratification based on the ownership and control of resources and on the type of work people do. Now, more open than a caste system because the boundaries between classes are less distinct than the boundaries between castes. Now, in an open system, you have what's known as horizontal mobility, and this occurs when people experience a gain or a loss in position and or income that does not produce chances in their chance in their place in the class structure. So horizontal is going up and down. Horizontal is going across. That's my bad, going across. Vertical mobility is the alternative, and that's movement up and down the class structure. Now, for some terms that will help us understand stratification a bit more, we'll look at the difference, between income and wealth. Income is the economic gain derived from wages, salary, income transfers like government aid, and ownership of property. That is all income. Income is money coming in to you on a regular basis from some other source for work that you've done or things that you've done for others. Wealth, on the other hand, this includes property, ownership of, such as buildings, land, farms, houses, factories, and cars, as well as other assets such as money in bank accounts, corporate stocks, bonds, and insurance policies. So you can see the difference. You can be wealthy but not have a lot of cash, but you can liquidate wealth into cash. Income equality and wealth inequality. Economists enable us to understand how income and wealth is distributed in a society using a wealth income quintiles. And each group is known as a quintile, and it contains 20% of the population. So in Canada, 20% of the Canadians in the highest income receive just over 40% of the income of all Canadians. You'll see quintiles used a lot in Stats Canada and data collecting in Canada, where you'll see the population of 100% of the population will be divided into 5 categories, or 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%. And each 20% represents another group. And so the top highest income received has over 40% of the overall income of all Canadians equivalent to. Quite a disparity. 2 classes in the modern world. Now, we're familiar a bit with this 2-class system based on looking at the conflict theory. The 2 classes in the modern world are the capitalist class, or the bourgeoisie, consist of those who own the means of production, land and capital. Now, this is a review more than it is new information. And then there's the working class, or the proletariat, those who must sell their labor to the owners in order to earn enough to survive. So those 2 classes, the bourgeoisie and the proletariat, these guys own the means to make a living. We sell our time to them to make a living in order to survive. Now, some other terms that are related to this conflict view, alienation, or the feeling of powerlessness and estrangement from other people and from oneself. And one of the consequences, if you will, to being down in this group here is alienation. You may feel powerless to make any change. You're stuck here. And that estrangement from other people, well, you're just among this group and you're estranged from all the people on this scale, if you will, of who make more money than you do. Now, class conflict, now, as far as Marx was concerned, class conflict was necessary, and that's the struggle between the capitalist class and the working class. The sort of theme is that no one factor, and this is such as Marx's economic division, defines class. Many factors such as culture, as well as access to important societal resources such as economic, social, and political power, contribute to this sort of division between the rich and the poor. He developed a multidimensional approach to the study of stratification. Weber, he created a multidimensional approach to stratification focused on the interplay between wealth, prestige, and power as being necessary in determining a person's class position. For Weber, wealth was the links between class and life chances, the resources to make choices. That's wealth. Power was the ability of people or groups to achieve their goals despite any opposition from other people. That was power. The more power you have, the more able you are to make decisions happen regardless of any opposition. And then thirdly was prestige, the respect with which a person or status position is regarded by others. So if I'm in a position, say doctor, it might be considered a higher prestige because other people view that position in a positive regard. Whereas, some other more other position that may not have the same level of prestige, people don't look up to. They might even look down to. From Weber's insights, current sociologists use the term socioeconomic status, the SES, used to refer to a combined measure that attempts to classify individuals, families, or households in terms of factors such as income, occupation, and education to determine class position. And so next week, that's what we'll explore, is this more contemporary models of social class in Canada. Who are the poor and who are the rich? And we'll look at the theoretical explanations as to why there's inequity in Canada. Well, I hope this has been helpful. That's part 1. We'll do part 2 next week. Good luck, everybody. Bye-bye.